What's going on, fellas? This is your commissioner here with Rutherford B. Hazy, Mr. Odd Sundays himself, and we are here in Always Sunny in Sayreville studios, as you can see, and we are watching the games, as you can see. Well, you know, we're in commercial break right now, but you get the idea. We thought this would be a good time to sort of remind you guys that it's been a while since the league got together and actually watched a game. Next season, the Jets and Giants play against each other. We don't obviously know what week yet, but it's something that we should consider trying to get together for. Yay or nay? There you go. Eloquent as always.
I'm only contractually obligated to talk every other Sunday.
That's true. It's an even Sunday. It's an even Sunday, so Colin doesn't have to say anything. That is actually very fair and true. So yeah, guys, one of these days, let's get together. So we now return you to your regularly scheduled program.
Be well, John Spartan.
Wildcard week in the Always Sunny in Sayreville League was epic. We had insane individual player performances, record-setting high scores, amazing come-from-behind last-second victories, and in the other game, the Drunken Bums played against Team Blumpkin. Injuries this week. Odell Beckham was a late add to the injury report and ended up not playing in Week 14 with thigh injury, and that definitely hurt the Gotham Rogues. It was a crucial loss. His top receiver not able to play in Week 14. Another couple of injuries to keep an eye on, not particularly for this week, but as it goes forward in the playoffs. James Conner missed Week 14, and his status is unclear for Week 15. Carson Wentz was injured in Week 14, and he will not be playing in Week 15, and perhaps for the rest of the season. Now, Carson Wentz himself, maybe not relevant per se, but the entire Eagles offense is certainly affected when Wentz isn't in there. So those are two situations to keep an eye on moving forward in the playoffs. Okay, gang. Those of us who were paying attention to the 4-5 matchup this week were treated to a playoff game the likes of which the league has never seen. It started on Thursday night. No, let me rephrase. It was on Thursday night, on the bench, that this story began. Derrick Henry exploded for the game of his life on Thursday night, racking up 58.8 points. The only problem is that everything in his life preceding that game indicated that he did not deserve to start on the Gotham's playoff lineup. So for 3 days, Narc had to live with the fact that he might not get that type of offensive production from any of his actual starters. This was not entirely true, as both above average Amari, and George Kittle exceeded 200 receiving yards, putting up 57.7 and 42 points respectively. When the dust settled on Sunday evening, the Gotham Rogues had tallied the second highest score in league playoff history, 186.1. All of this was amazing, but some would argue that the most amazing part was the fact that after all that scoring, Sweep the Leg still had a shot to win, trailing by about 25 points with 2 players left to play on Monday Night Football. Fast forward to Monday night. Now, expecting 13 points apiece from Dalvin Cook and Stephon Diggs seemed completely reasonable until the game started. Kirk Cousins was abysmally bad in this game, and it hurt the entire offense. He was so bad, in fact, that he got his offensive coordinator fired after the game. Anyway, little by little, Sweep the Leg chipped away at the Rogues' lead until, with about a minute left in the game, about a minute left in Wildcard weekend, Kirk Cousins tossed the most awkward, garbage time touchdown to Dalvin Cook. These final points on the literal last play of the game, as the Seahawks would just kneel the clock out when they got the ball back, gave Sweep the Leg a dramatic come-from-behind victory in the last moment of Wildcard weekend. Led them to the highest team total in playoff history, 193.16, beat the odds of defeating a team with 2 40-plus point scorers, don't even get me started on a 50-plus point scorer, without having one of his own, and advanced to the semifinals. And for that, Sweep the Leg is this week's hero. And an honorable mention goes out to the Gotham Rogues. A huge score, a great game, an instant classic. Okay, so now we move from the good to the not so good. While wins and losses are obviously paramount in the Always Sunny in Sayreville League, a good gauge of who a team really is points scored. Coming into the playoffs boasting a 9-4 record and a 3 seed, the Drunken Bums were not only the lowest scoring team in the playoffs, but they were one of the lowest scoring teams in the whole league this year. And on Wildcard weekend, the Drunken Bums' true colors finally bled through. Matt, if he's being honest, will probably tell you that he rode Pat Mahomes' monstrous should-be MVP, and it's not really that close. I love Drew Brees as much as the next guy, but do not at me season to his first playoff appearance. Sadly, though, Patrick Mahomes had a downish day, and the Bums could only muster 120.78 points, not even matching their very low season average, and it just wasn't enough. It wasn't really Matt's fault. His team was just overmatched in the playoffs this year, and they proved it this week. And for that, the Drunken Bums are this week's GOAT. Alright guys, key matchups. It's semifinals week, but this year we can actually call it the divisional round because we have 2 huge divisional matchups to determine who will be playing for the 2018 championship. And to break it all down, we have one of my favorite guest analysts. Number 1, because you can always rely on him to do the playoff breakdowns each year because he's never in the actual playoffs. And number 2, you never know what he's going to say. So it's the perfect combination of reliability and unpredictability that makes our next guest analyst so special. So let's kick it down south right now to our nation's penis and hear from Mr. Bootleg Crableg himself, Johnny Ortiz, with the divisional round key matchup playoff breakdowns.
Hello, everybody in Sayreville. This is Bootleg Crableg reporting to you live, of course, in a new location in Florida. That would be Tampa, Florida. Let's hope that the Bucs stick with the old school cover 2 because their defense has been atrocious. All right, here to break down the number 2's division. We got the number 2 Rutherford B. Hazy, and we got number 4 Sweep the Leg, with Rutherford B. Hazy having a record of 9-4, with Sweep the Leg at 8-5. Point averages this year, both are very close, with Sweep the Leg having the slight advantage at 145.2, with Mr. Hayes at 141.4. Matchups this week, it's going to be very, 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 very close. I think that quarterback, with the firing of John DeFilippo, Kirk Cousins, is a very big question mark on whether they're passing the ball more, whether they're running the ball. According to Mike Zimmer, they want to run the ball more often, which could be bad for Kirk Cousins and company. On the flip side, Sweep the Leg has Andrew Luck, and Andrew Luck just had a nuts game. We don't know what Colts team is going to show up, but I guarantee you that anytime going against Andrew Luck, especially a healthy Andrew Luck and wanting to prove a point, I think that Sweep the Leg has a major advantage at quarterback. Obviously, in my opinion, Hazy has a strong running back core. Hopefully that James Conner gets back, with Hayes having one of the best running backs in the league in Todd Gurley, possibly an MVP caliber player. Hopefully he wins the MVP. In my opinion, this guy is just a freak of nature. And obviously Sweep the Leg is hoping and praying another game out for James Conner and company. On the flip side of things, I think that Sweep the Leg has a more complete team, leading with Michael Thomas, Stephon Diggs, and Keenan Allen. So, in my opinion, he has a lot of weapons at wide receiver. You are welcome for Zeke later on in the year. I got that. You got that trade acquisition, and you did a great job at that. I think Sweep the Leg made a lot of good acquisitions during the season. Obviously, an up and down year, had a very slow start, and also you guys playoff experience. And overall, all-time head-to-head, they are 4-1 with Sweep the Leg. Obviously giving it to Colin, and Colin being new to it. This is Colin's first year in the playoffs, so welcome to the playoffs, because I sucked this year. And Sweep the Leg is 6-3 all-time in the playoffs and a former 2012 champion. And overall, who I have in this game is Sweep the Leg, and he will have a shot at another title. All right, now to break down the Porter Division battle versus number 1 TFC versus the Blumpkins. TFC, obviously the number 1 team in the league, ending his season at 10-3. And on the flip side, you have Blumpkin that barely by a slim margin reached the playoffs at 6-7. TFC is the leading scorer in the league, averaging almost a whooping 160 a week, exactly 159.3, while Blumpkin has a solid 142.5. Blumpkin, as of right now, is starting Mr. Rogers and company, or he will be starting Mr. Golf. In my opinion, it's kind of a toss-up with those two. Wherever he starts has a huge advantage over Tyler Fight Club's Matt Ryan, but Matt Ryan is a solid option. On the flip side of things, Kenyon Drake went absolutely bonkers, having the Miami Miracle down in Miami versus the New England Patriots, or the Devil Worshippers, as I call them. On the flip side, Alvin Kamara for the Tyler Fight Club is the last hope for Tyler Fight Club. Obviously, Kareem Hunt likes hitting women and likes to be in the news, and it's unfortunate. Overall, I see that basically up and down TFC lineup from Matt Ryan, Alvin Kamara, and Devontae Adams. He has a solid crew. Obviously, question marks. He would like to have a little bit stronger of a running back corps, but it's fantasy football, and I think TFC would be just fine. On the flip side of things, I think Blumpkin lacks some depth. His strengths are obviously Julio Jones, Tariq Hill, and I don't know what quarterback he will be starting between Jared Goff and Aaron Rodgers, but either way, I believe that will be either start is going to be solid for him. Interesting fact about both of them: all time TFC head-to-head are 7-6 with no playoff. They've never played each other in the playoffs. And TFC all-time is 4-4 and is a former 2013 champ and is looking to make it to the championship. And also, Team Blumpkin 6-7 all-time playoffs and a former champion in 2016. Overall, I have TFC winning this matchup, with the finals being TFC versus Sweep the Leg. For everybody back in the studios, I will be back. For those of you that didn't do any waiver pickups, I took the two best on the waivers on IR, so you guys can all kiss my butt. And I'll see you next year, and stay classy, Cyril.
All right, thanks, John. I appreciate you taking a little bit of time to do the analysis for us. Great job. So that's it, guys. Wildcard Week update over. Remember to set your lineups. Remember that Dalvin Cook is an asshole. And I will see you next week, where it's always sunny.